Hello everyone, my name is HTGames and welcome to a brand new video on this brand new day. And I decided to do a little game review on one of the games that I've been holding for about 2 years now. Astro Boy, the video game for the Nintendo Wii. They also have it for the PlayStation 2. But there's also other Astro Boy games that made it to other systems. But I'll cover those on a later video. I'm going to be focusing on this one because, well, I got this as a Christmas present one day and I'm like, okay, let's play this. And it says right here on the box that it was made by D3 publisher, Imagi Studios, and Dolby Pro Logic. Also a company called Danger High Voltage, which I honestly don't get the name for, but it's pretty creative if you ask me. Blink Video, which has made a bunch of games that I really like. And this is basically a sequel to the Astro Boy anime. Now, if you don't know, Astro Boy the anime was the first anime that was ever created and was the one that inspired many others that you love and hold. This movie was made around 2008 to 2009 to recreate the experience that the anime had, except it didn't follow all the same rules that the anime did, so they recreated it and switched the plots and places of a few characters. And that's why this game exists, because it's supposed to be a game that resembles the movie, but if you look at it, it doesn't really resemble the movie that much. It only resembles maybe the first few scenes from the movie, but besides that, it goes way off topic. Sometimes you see yourself in the dumpster, alleyway, you name it, even a little scrapyard, factory, you name it. And I wanted to play this game just to refresh my mind on what this game holds dear and near to me when I was about, I can't even remember. And the game is recommended for people, everyone 10 and up. And this game plays up to 2 players. You just gotta need your Wiimote and your nunchuck. If you have a friend, you can play this no trouble. But playing this alone can be a bit of a bore. That is, if you don't have time on your hands, then you would feel pretty stressed and like, oh my god, I gotta complete this game. This game only takes about 2 hours to complete it, at least when I remember it from my childhood. And the reason how come is because of there's not much variety in levels. Every level just seems like, oh, okay, next level, how far is this? And once you make it to the end of the level, you give yourself a little sigh of relief and then enjoy the awkward cutscenes. So, might as well start the review already. So in the beginning, it shows us this cutscene. This cutscene shows us some shots from the movie and also how Astro Boy is from there to now. So basically, he got killed by this giant robot called the Peacekeeper, and he died. The only thing that was left of him was his hat and a little strand of hair, and is now being recreated by his father, aka Dr. Tenma, which has made some awesome, nice robots, and is also being voiced by Nicolas Cage himself, which I have to give him props for not doing another live action movie, because we all know how good those are. As we can see, he recreates him into an awesome looking robot that has all sorts of powers, probably even can control the world. Now let's go a little farther back just to get you to know. And I know what some of you guys are asking. Well, how did they power him? Did they use just a bunch of DC big D batteries? No. What they did, they actually used a meteor. No joke. A meteor. Now, this meteor that crashed onto Earth has 2 different substances. At least that's what the movie proclaims. There is the blue core that has all the positive energy from the comet that smashed into the Earth. And try to guess what the other core is. I'll give you a few seconds. It's the red core. The red core is basically all the negative energy that was taken from the core. And both of these energy cores have different effects that can happen on robots. The blue core can make a robot listen to its operator and can work for humans and follow the 3 rules of robotics. The red core, however, will disobey everything that the operator tells them to do, won't follow the rules of robotics, and will probably even destroy the world. Which, I have to ask one question. If this core has so much negative energy that it can destroy the world, why don't you just hide it somewhere? Why do you have to present it to a giant group of people, not to mention the president? Yes, there is a president in this movie. His name is President Stone, and he likes red. Then Astro Boy is stuck with this rampaging robot, and guess what happens? Try and guess. He dies. And that's where we are right now. Astro's not being created, and now we're in this giant room with a bunch of statues, walls, and you name it. Man, this guy's like a millionaire. If this guy can have this big of a house, I wonder what a regular apartment building looks like. Because all of these buildings are huge. No joke. These buildings are very, very huge. Why? Okay, so we jump over the... There's a giant statue in the middle of the pathway. Okay, let's just skip this. Why is there a vent open over here? That makes no utter sense. Did someone try to rob this guy? Hope not. Because he must have a lot of money that would be robbed of. If you catch my drift. Once we make it into Toby's room, he has a punching bag in there. I don't know one person or even one kid who has a punching bag in their room. So we punch the bags a few seconds and it explodes. Wow. So it turns out that these robots think that Astro is a kid, but he's now a robot. Astro says, no, I'm just a kid. The robot says he's a robot. The robot gets so mad at Toby that he squirts into his eyes with the bottle. Oh, that's... So anyway, we fall down the building and we find out that we can fly with turbo cannons in Toby's legs. Okay, and we fly around for a bit. Maybe this is about one of the most maybe fun parts of the game because you actually get to experience it for the first time. But once you experience it more times to come, it just gets a little boring, no less to speak. So once we go down into this platform, maybe a million miles away from home, which Toby should know because he's still a kid. He's about 10 years old. We run into this cop. So then we talk to this cop. The cop says, oh, what are your serial numbers? Toby doesn't know what he's saying. The cop goes, oh, well, you need serial numbers in order to fly. Tell me you have to go through this? Might as well just take me to the DMV and we'll be good to go. Anyway, we still go on to this, kind of cutting for a little while, and then this guy, the cop, is being called by another cop saying that there's some sort of outbreak. I can't really understand because there's just a bunch of static. I can't understand what it's saying, but I guess it's trying to say, okay, you need to come over here. There's something bad going on. Just leave the kid there. And so we leave the kid there. But wait a minute. That guy just left to go do something else at probably even a different city. But all of these cops are trying to kill me. What kind of rule establishments is the government trying to have on these kids? I feel so bad for them. So we kill all these robots and we get the checkpoints and we learn all these different moves with the Wiimote and Nunchuck. So you got your standards. Left and right buttons on the D-pad are to go left and right. Or you could use the joystick. The A button is to attack. The B button is to do a different attack. The A button is to actually to jump. 1 and 2 plus and minus buttons even do something. I'm sorry, what? Okay, I would understand the plus and minus buttons, but really the 1 and 2 buttons? So we would have to have a humongous hand in order to play this game. Or you could just shuffle your Wiimote around. That is if you have the jacket, which I don't. And you have a chance of dropping the Wiimote on the floor, which is really scary, because these things always give you the creeps. Once you drop them, you don't want to break these. These are treasure. So once we beat this level, we find out that Dr. Tenmud hates us and wants us to go out for adoption. But we don't want to. Professor Elephant says we have to go somewhere else where we will never be found. We understand him. We go down into an alleyway and find these guys taking the coffee machine girl. And we got rips off of Michael Jackson and Elvis and the gold chain. Which I must say is pretty buff, but what's with all the gold, man? How much did that cost? Okay, continuing on. So we pass these few levels, we go into a subway, we find this guy, we beat him. Wait a minute. Back up for a second. Did he just do the Michael Jackson moonwalk? That's about maybe the best thing that this game had to offer. Him doing the moonwalk over to us in a boss fight. When I first saw this, I laughed hysterically. But I just figured out how awesome this was. Okay. Once we beat him, he says a couple words, they run away. The coffee machine girl is better. She squirts steam out of her pipes or whatever. And we keep on doing this for the next few levels. Okay, so now it's about time that I talk more about the story than the actual gameplay. Since the gameplay is pretty basic and we already know what we're gonna get out of it. So we find out that, well, we saved this woman. We go over and fly away to find some place to hide, to find some place to hibernate for now. But instead we're stopped by President Stone. We have to fight his ship. We defeat the ship. No. Instead we get shot by the ship and we fall into the abyss where President Stone remains furious that we got away. Not really got away because we more fainted and fell into the abyss. We find ourselves in quote-unquote Earth, where there's a giant junkyard. This place is basically set in a giant junkyard. A bunch of these zombie robots find out that we're fresh from the market. We got brand new batteries, and they want them from us. We kill all of them, but hold on. Why is there a police officer here from the first world? Turns out that this game always recycles the same enemies that you see before. And very rarely these enemies are original. There are only very few enemies that were actually made because this game was being programmed so quick. If they had a lot more time, they would probably make the game a lot better than it is right now. Then we get chased by a giant ball of junk. Then we find these 3 or 4 kids. I'm honestly not sure if that's a kid or a dog. It looks more like a dog. It's a robot dog. It's a robot dog. And we see someone that we didn't see in the movie. The Scorpion Brothers. They were supposed to be in the movie as 2 people who raided the Earth and always cause trouble. You defeat them as a boss. Once you do, the kids accept you to be their friend and they take you over to their uncle. The uncle says, oh, you need to get me some spare parts so then I can make myself a new robot because I'm a mechanic. We accept his request and we go on a train for some reason. We go on the train, we defeat a bunch of more robots and we make it to the end. We find out that the train somehow malfunctions and instead comes to a complete halt. We wake up to find the wreckage of the vehicle as it is now in the present. This is maybe one of the best levels of the video game. It has nice music that fits, it has a nice level design, and they could have made more levels like this if they had more time. The whole reason how come this game is bad isn't because it was lazy. No, it was actually because the developers didn't have enough time to program it. That's why the PSP version is a lot better than the Wii or PlayStation 2 versions. We end up finding a robot by the name of Zog, a giant robot that only takes the same kind of core energy that Astro does. Astro gives him some of his energy, but before we can do that, we have to defeat all of these little bugs that are inside him. Once we do, then we give him the energy and we bring him back to life. We bring him back to that uncle guy thing that wanted us to give him robot parts in the first place. And by the time that we do that, we also have to get him some more parts by going into some sort of factory or scrapyard or someplace, because there's a bunch of lava places where you could die. We find out that the guy from the subway, the Michael Jackson gold tooth guy, is once again back in action, and we decide to defeat him. He does that nostalgic moon dance of the King of Pop was mainly known for. We defeat him. Then we find ourselves back with the uncle. The uncle actually used to work for Dr. Tenma, aka Toby's son, aka Astro's son. But he was fired for doing something foul. I just don't honestly know what, because I was really trying to get every single note crammed in as possible. And we get tased by him. We end up finding ourselves in some sort of boxing ring, except it's more like a land pit. like a sand pit. We fight all these certain robots by flying, doing actual stunts, and then we are forced to fight Zog. JK, we're actually supposed to fight this guy, the uncle. He actually wants us to fight Zog, but we don't want to. Instead, we fight him before he kills Zog. Once we do, Zog is about to kill him by stomping on him. He doesn't follow the 3 rules of robotics because he claims that he is old school. This was maybe one of the best parts that I heard from the movie and game. Anyway, continuing on. We save the uncle, and he runs away. We don't know what happens to him next. But in the end, President Stone finds us and is coming to attack us. Well, no, he just wants to capture us because we have the blue cord, which he wants for the Peacekeeper. Not us. He doesn't care about us. And he captures us. He brings us back to Dr. Tenma, the same person who, well, abandoned us and betrayed us. And he is forced to take the blue core out of us by President Stone himself. Once we are extracted by the core, he quickly puts it back into Toby and tells him to run away, and to save the world. Okay. Once we make it past the giant laboratory system, with maybe the hardest part is the elevators. These elevators are so awkward to actually memorize, because if you pick the wrong one, oh, you gotta start back from square one. And we have to be going in a certain order, which is never specified to you. It's not even the manual, you have to actually look it up, which took me a while. Once we do, President Stone's giving a speech, and the Peacekeeper with the red core absorbs President Stone, and they become some sort of fusion thing. We end up fighting the Peacekeeper / Stone, the Stonekeeper. We'll call it the Stonekeeper. And we have to fight him as the final boss. Once we do, the credits roll. That's it. No congratulations or anything. This game isn't bad because of the laziness. It was bad because of the developer's design. Honestly, there is a way to make this game fun. Play it with someone. This is about maybe the best time I had. I was playing this with a friend of mine, and we had a wonderful time. I recommend that you buy this game and only buy it for laughs and giggles with your friend. Because it's really a nice experience to go through if you have a friend to talk about, well, this movie, this game, the reason how come this exists. And so you might like it, or you might hate it, but whatever the cause, it's a decent game. If I were to give it a rating, I wouldn't, because I'm also unsure of how this game is supposed to be good or bad. This is my first time actually ever doing a review on a game, so please cut me some slack. After all though, I think this is one of the best spin-off games that I've seen. Well, at least it's better than the Harry Potter video games, for sure. And I recommend you buy this game. It's at a cheap price, and if you play it with a friend, it's a lot more fun. Let's just hope that you don't get angry at them, or else, well, it won't be fun. I would like to thank you all so much for watching this video. And last but not least, be sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I mostly post more on Instagram than Twitter, so I recommend you follow me. I'll be posting some stuff on Twitter later on. But besides that, thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. I will see you later. I am HTGames.